Hello, welcome back. Today I will talk about a book of mine called Hecate or Hecate. It is a Greek goddess, and her name appears with Hecate with C or with K, Hecate. It has sometimes a little bit different pronunciation, but they're all correct now. It just represents the old part of Hecate. Heka means magic, and the hexaton, so the six geometrical figure, no, the hexaton, is connected with Hecate. That's why her name has 3 letters. As I said, in every truth, no, one can find the answer in the question itself, in the name itself, in this situation, Hecate. And I pronounce her name differently, but it is of course the same person. Her name is very strong. Now it starts with a H, Hecate, so the H is pronounced, and then it is the end of the word finish on the last syllable, no? Hecate. That's the pronunciation I like. I think it's correct, but sometimes, it happens Hecate or Hecate. It doesn't matter as much the pronunciation, but the name. And the book speaks about her, the story of Hecate, since birth, since child, no, in her family with her father and the mother, and she lives in the palace, and she has her family brothers and so on. And then it develops from there. It shows her journey or her lessons. It is a larger book. It's a very beautiful book that represents Hecate very much, but in a story line and a story wise that represents her life. In the same time, the things that she tells in a way her story through my book. That was the idea of the book. I wanted to take a very known character from the Greek mythology, and to pronounce it or to transfer it in a lyrical prose. It is lyrical because it has very beautiful images. It is a lyrical form, not only stylistically but even emotionally, So it is very intimate. The story is very intimate, very simple, but that I think makes the beauty of the story, because the focus is not the story, the focus is always Hecate, no? So the story goes through her, always she appears in every scene. Hecate is the storyteller, is the one that leads the story towards the book, or towards, the section that appear, or the paragraphs that appear. It is in a chronological matter. That's how I arrange the text. So it is very positive, very beautiful to read from birth on, no? And then to describe that in a poetic form, and then her life and the lessons, and her through growing up and through adulthood, no, in becoming who she is, so to say. But finally, it's just a beautiful story of Hecate, that it is in a lyrical prose, which makes the story very much like a novel, no? And the book, of course, speaks about Hecate, as I said. If one doesn't know about her, she is a famous ancient Greek goddess that deals with magic, with the crossroads, with things that are unseen, with the darker side in the meaning of the places that she goes, or the light torture, the light bringer. So her powers are very much about alchemy. In the same time, Hecate follows the light. No, she is not alone on her journey. the letters from 10 to 12 and so on. So there is this repetition of the two. Hecate, no, has 3 syllables. You see it in the name, 2, 3, 6. So you see, by what I'm saying, it is already exemplified as a true answer in her name. That's why names, do carry, of course, is a reason why in the book appears as well, or how her name came to life, or who her parents were, or what type of childhood she had, what type of dreams, or what type of experiences. And then it's interesting to see Hecate in her adulthood with her dogs, where she travels, and then she has the different encounters with different people. And Hecate, as I said, is the light bringer, is the one who brings the light, the hope. So finally she is a princess, no? Hecate is a princess. You say, well, to become a goddess, there is a journey to that too, no? You say, well, you are born princess, and then you can elevate on that road as well. And in the same time, the the aspect of the 6 represents even the 3 faces of Hecate. We say, well, the young Hecate, the maiden one, and the old Hecate. And say, well, the 3 cycles, the 3 moons of Hecate, or the so it always goes, as I said, to the 2, 3, 6. In the same, there's like 2 parallels of 3. This like the mathematical part of Hecate represents to the Greek understanding of her name. But it appears, as I said, as the name Heka, which means magic. So her name is already enters in that specific genre of the magic. And the understanding of the Greeks now is the most developed understanding of Hecate as well. There's a lot to know that she appears in different works, or literary works, and it has each god or goddess a certain type or a certain work. And so, well, her life is in her biography as well. That's why it was interesting for me to look from that point of an intimate search of Hecate, who she really is, through the aspect of the childhood, through the aspect that's like the story is supposed to go. So, well, from 2 chapters I make 3, from 3 I make 6, but the line is the story of her. And I have published a book on Amazon. The entrance and the description of the palace is very beautiful as well. So, well, there is an entire atmosphere around her that enters in the book as well, and there is a lot of dialogue as well. So it carries a very truthful story about her in a very intimate way. So it does go very much into the novelistic part, because it is prosa as well, but it does carry this poetic or this literary elements very much, because the hexagon, the 6th side geometrical figure, it represents the heart as well. There's like the 6th chamber, or 3 chambers, or 2. It works in these elements from 2, 3, it multiplies to 6. And that's somehow an element of magic as well, and not to see things complicated, because, well, Hecate is a princess. At the same time, she is a princess of, of moral duties, and she has her own duty, as I said. So it is not to say, well, the name that is given carries the responsibility as well. So Hecate has these powers, and that the Greeks believed. So she, as I said, it is all a symbolic meaning as well, what the light means. So it is a very beautiful transformational journey. And what the book brings new, it is a literal work that can be read in a novelistic way, which it's simply interesting to observe or to read from a standpoint of, say, well, what was that world like, what was her experience like, what are her reactions or her ideas or her dialogue, no? So it was interesting to create that part of the dialogue through the different characters. It is almost, well, in a way, theatrical prose too, no? Because it has more characters and there are different transition through the story, starting with the scenes with her as she grew up, and then more by herself, and then traveling in the same time. We have this duality of sometimes her by herself with her dogs, or her with other people. So the past of Hecate is, so to say, all already written. It's like, well, she does have that magical abilities, psychic abilities, no? So, well, even that is a little description of her powers, because the Greeks believed Hecate the embodiment of magic. So that comes with a lot of qualities that she has, no? And so, well, yeah, that's interesting to see her in that point of view, but the aspect of the novel goes into the story, how it got there, or how it developed from that standpoint, no? One can understand the story from back to beginning, not only from front to beginning. There is a correlation story that goes throughout the book, no? Or that is called sometimes the red line, the red string of the book. That's the story. And then it's the poetic or the beautiful dialogues, no? So, well, it has to fit to that area. It has to fit in that language, that it is real, that it feels it is the right words or the right dialogue. And the dialogue, it goes quite short. So, well, one can have the different characters, and there's scenes where more things happen, no? Sometimes 2 or 3 characters, sometimes more. So or sometimes, as I said, with the 3 dogs of Hecate, no? There appears again the element of 3. Sometimes she appears her with 1 dog, the element of 2, no? Sometimes it's her with the other, with her 3 dogs and other people, which goes again to the element of 6. There's a certain repetition, there's a certain simplicity that comes to Hecate as well. And so, well, she is a princess, but she knows the secret of the herbs, or she has secret or magical powers that have been bestowed upon her since she was a baby, since she was a child. So she carries those through that period as well. And then the interesting process to see get even closer to Hecate in this meaning of her family story, or how she grew up, or how was the environment in that time. And all these aspects, of course, enter in the literary work, because one has to understand the basics of the story, and then, of course, one can develop the way he fits free, as a literary work, to enter the character from a certain point of time. And I wanted to tell the story from beginning, because it is important. I think that part is very beautiful, the beginning of the book. It opens with a description of the city, of the place where she lives with her family, the palace, and all that atmosphere, of home, of her father, or scenes with her brother and her mother, and the story that comes with her birth. And then it goes through different ages of Hecate in a short way, because of course the main focus of her is not necessarily the details of each scene, but the entire story, so it does have to have some new elements to it. That's why I included the dialogues, I included other characters, because one can see one character best from the eyes of the other characters as well, or for the situation itself. And I think it was helpful for me to have these 3 stages, and improving each almost like 3 chapters in one, it is, I said, I think 200-300 pages, so it is quite nice to have a longer read. Of course, it is a book, and as I said, if you want to read about it or have it at home, has a very beautiful cover. It's called Hecate, written by me, Anaïs Giulia. I'm the author of the book. You can find all my books in the description box. There is a link, or you can check on Amazon my name, Anaïs Giulia, and you can type Hecate, and yeah, and as I said, it is a novel. The aspect of novel brings the more like an easy read, because you say, well, the story of Hecate already has so much weight and already so much mysticism and story about her, that one has to go from a point of a more closeness to the character, no, to see things that maybe others didn't see or didn't think of. So it is quite nice to see Hecate from that simple point of view. And I think it does have a little bit to do with the theatrical Greek theater, because the scenes do move in that way, no, through the book, which makes it interesting, because one doesn't stay too long on one scene, and each scene has like a interesting point or interesting development in the story. So it can go through different feelings, no? So, well, the Greeks loved most the dramaturgia, the dramatic elements in the meaning of, a play or something that goes through different stages or different phases. It is not one open scene. It is a play that has more scenes in one piece, in one. So it goes back to the one, no? To the main character, which is Hecate. And so we have the element of 1, 2, 3, and 6, so well, 1 and 6 correlate with each other, and 2 and 3 as well, no? So 3 minus 2 is 1, 2 multiplied by 3 is 6, so it goes on both sides, and one can even develop from the numbers even more formation in that way, no? It does, Hecate is very smart, very wise. She has a certain understanding of the rhythm, of the patterns, of the symbols, and you say, well, this is only something, a gift that was gifted by the gods to her, no? So, well, it is a title that she was bestowed upon, no? So from her father or from her family, and I don't want to reveal too much about the book, because of course the story is deeper than that, but it is a very beautiful end as well. It's just a beautiful story from beginning to end. I say, well, I very much like the beginning of this book, and then the scenes and the later part of the book. I think it's very interesting, and the end, of course, it is the aspect. I always try to include the end 6 with the beginning 1, that it is somehow goes back to the first scene as well, that there is some type of resolution or some type of connection towards the book, because I say, well, it's not easy to know how to end the book, and sometimes, well, is it ready? It is here, but I say, well, I have worked on work on this book for Hecate. I worked in 2 different manuscripts. I wrote it 2 times to reach that form that I wanted. So it was a longer process, but I say, well, biography in general, a chronological time is not so easy to, it takes a little more work, no, to create. And if you want to read the book, as I've said, you can find it on Amazon. It is a beautiful book that I do recommend. It is a beautiful story for women or men, no? So, well, Hecate has different meanings, and as I said, always works with more elements, no? So they say the answer is yes, no? It is a beautiful book, and I invite you to read it or have it for you at home. It is a book that, deserves to be read. It has to have its credit from the subject, from the beautiful literary work that I have done, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, bye.